welcome back. Mandy with My Hectic Life Pets, where we talk about all things pet and pet related. And today, let's talk about pest snails in your aquarium. Are they really a pest? I personally actually appreciate them to a certain extent. I mean, when they've overpopulated your tank like crazy, then that can become a problem, but not an unsolvable one. Having these snails in your aquarium could potentially benefit you if you don't mind the aesthetics of them, because some of them are not necessarily the most attractive snails. Between all of my fish tanks, I probably have a few of each of these types of pest snails, which at one point was completely out of control, where I ended up with hundreds of ram's horns in my tank, and it was just insane. Like, it just was covered with ram's horn snails. So how do these snails end up in your tank in the first place? So one of the most common ways that these snails end up in your tank is gonna be if you use live plants in your fish tank. I have a lot of live plants, and so I have a lot of snails. Now there are about 5 or 6 types that are really common types of pest snails to see in the hobby. Ram's horns are really common. I have gotten so many ram's horns from live plants that it's probably ridiculous. Bladder snails are another really big one that I have seen quite frequently, and I have a few in some of my beta tanks. Now the ram's horn snails kind of have a flat, like spirally shaped shell that sticks upright, and I personally don't think they're like the most attractive of the snails. The look of the bladder snails doesn't really bother me as much. They kind of have an iridescent look to their shell. It's kind of a little shiny. I don't mind them as much as the ram's horns. Now, another really common one that is seen in the hobby is the Malaysian trumpet snail. Some people actually love these snails and will seek them out. They are one of the more attractive of the pest snails, and they have kind of a trumpeted looking shell. I don't think I actually have any of these types of snails in my tanks, but I do have bladder snails and I do have ram's horn. Now there are different options that you can use to get rid of any type of unwanted pest snails in your tanks. Now for my 20-gallon, when it became extremely overran with ram's horns, I went out and I purchased 2 assassin snails to just wipe them out and take care of them. Assassin snails are great because they can be kept in a small aquarium, so if you have like a beta tank that is getting overrun with snails, you can get an assassin snail and you don't have to worry about it needing a whole huge tank or anything. Assassin snails are excellent at getting rid of pest snails in your aquarium. Now for 2 snails, and I probably had, I don't know, I probably had like 200 snails in that tank. It was insane. It was ridiculous. They were producing like crazy. Now I do still have some ram's horn snails in there, but it's not like a huge overpopulation insanity like it was. My 2 assassin snails took care of the majority of the snails within about 1 month's time. So these guys really can help you out with keeping a snail population under control in your fish tank. And like I said, I mean, they're just tiny little snails, and they will just feed off of all the pest snails in the tank. Now you do have to be careful with these guys, because if you do have a snail that you want to keep in your tank, then maybe the assassin snail is not for you. Now if you do have a larger aquarium setup, then you can use loaches to help get that population under control. Loaches are excellent at feeding on those snails and taking care of that problem. They are fantastic at keeping snail populations under control because, again, these are a species that will feed on snails. Now another option that you can use is setting a trap for your snails. You can use a cup and some type of vegetable, and you can put that in your aquarium, and of course all the snails are going to start going for those vegetables, and then when you pull it out, you're going to have tons and tons of snails, and you can just repeat this every day until you've really got a handle on your snail problem, because they will just run towards it. I also have used green beans for this method in one of my tanks, and it worked pretty well for all the snails to kind of gather in one spot and for me to just kind of scoop it out of the tank and toss it out. No more snails. Another option that you can do is squishing the snails and using them as fish food. If you are overrun with snails though, then you might have a little bit too much. Another good way to get rid of a high snail population is cut back on feeding. So these are some of the ways that you can kind of help control the population of snails in your aquarium. For me, I don't mind having a few pest snails in my aquarium as long as they're not a snail that's going to bother my plants. Typically the ones that are commonly found in the hobby are not something that's going to really mess up your plants. Most of these snails will feed on algae and dead plant material, which actually benefits your aquarium. And who doesn't enjoy not having to scrub their tank and having a nice, clear, beautiful panel of glass to look through? So that's all for today's video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel where I post new videos every week. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye!